Welcome back to the Bazaar. I'm Inko, and we have some patch notes. These are not the Season 5 launch notes. These are the patch notes that came out last Friday about the monetization changes. And I waited over the weekend to see if, come Monday, they would want to change anything. Because there was a huge amount of immediate backlash. They've gone into full censorship mode on the Reddit and Discord, as they often do when there's this much backlash. And there are some very real gripes to be had with what's changing. There are a lot of people who are justifiably angry. There are a lot of people who are a little bit confused about the system for good reasons. And I thought for sure at least something was going to change come Monday, and something has. So I'll be talking about what's in these patch notes and also what has changed since the initial notes. And I'll be covering a little bit of what has been said in Discord, but I don't feel like hunting down every exact quote. I'm probably not going to bother showing the quotes, just giving a brief summary of the impression I got from watching the conversations and asking a few of my own questions. Getting right into the notes, the most prominent change that the game will be shifting from free-to-play to a premium experience. What this means is that going forward, it's going to cost $40 to buy the game on Steam, where you'll get Dooley, Vanessa, and Pig for that price tag. Anyone who already has an account doesn't have to pay anything. Anyone who had an account that didn't have didn't have Pig or Dooley will be getting those two heroes for free. But for the vast majority of us, this change doesn't really have an impact on us, right? For the vast majority of people watching this video, you already had an account, you don't need to buy the game, you weren't going to buy the game, and there's no purpose in buying the game. Now, we'll cover that more in just a second. But the point of this is that from the perspective of a current player, this really doesn't have an impact on me, and I don't have a reason to care about it. This is a thing where it's like, anytime Tempo is changing monetization, I assume that behind the scenes, they have a reason to want to use monetization differently beyond making more money, such as keeping the company afloat. There's been a lot of discussions about how essentially they couldn't afford to make the game they wanted to with the previous model. And I've had no shortage of comments in my own videos from people expressing that exact idea, not sure how Tempo's current model could really be sustainable, and apparently it wasn't. I was going to start talking about how I felt about this model, but we haven't really covered it yet. So let's go down a little bit further. The game will be coming to Steam on August 13th. That is tomorrow as this video comes out. And upon purchasing any Bazaar content on Steam, you'll be able to link your Tempo account. Now, the shift to premium, anyone who already had a Tempo account, as I was saying, is given all the heroes, and anyone who doesn't will have to make their Tempo account after buying the game for $45. I said 40 a second ago. That's because this actually got changed. More on that in a second. And then the first of many changes that resulted in a lot of backlash, future heroes will not be sold for gems at all and will be available for $20. Now, there are a lot of people who are mad about this, and I fucking get that. It doesn't really bother me. I'm someone who has a subscription already. If you tell me I spend $20 every 3 months instead of $10 or $15, I forget which, every month, I'm spending less money on the game with this model. And that's going to be true for a lot of people. But there are also a ton of people who don't have the subscription, who did bank gems, who intended to get Stelle with them, and literally cannot do it anymore. I understand if those people are mad, if they feel upset by this, because, like, yeah, obviously. And to a lot of people who've backed the game for much longer than I have, I just bought into early access last November, but there are people who kickstarted the game that was supposed to be a free-to-play game with all these lofty ideals about being this platonic idea of what a free-to-play game should be, with no premium bullshit, no pay-to-win nonsense. And now the game is just fully not free-to-play at all. It's not even a discussion of pay-to-win. You can totally have one if these heroes cost $20 and they're overpowered initially. Is that pay-to-win? Because you've already bought the game, it's still possible for someone else to spend more money, get something new, and be better than you. There's this whole discussion about pay-to-win you can have on top of the discussion about, like, having backed something conceptually different from what we have now. Me personally, I don't know. I feel like I'm the guy from the I'm tired boss meme at this point. I don't have it in me to be outraged about this because I'm coming from the perspective of someone who was already buying the sub and I'm spending less money now than I would. And I have to listen to so many people talking about how the monetization seems unsustainable, and then they change the monetization to a form where I spend less money, but it's going to cause other people to spend more money. I'm like, yeah, that all tracks. I get why people would be upset. If you are angry and you want somewhere to vent about it, and you got banned from Discord and Reddit when you tried to, dude, I fucking get it. That sucks. You have every right to be mad. But genuinely, I personally don't have it in me to care about this. As someone who already paid for the sub, who's just going to be spending less money buying heroes now, I just like, okay, cool. They're changing the way people pay for the game because behind closed doors, they need to make money differently. It wasn't working with the old scheme. Good luck with this one. That's where I'm at broadly. I get all of the reasons people be very upset about this, but genuinely, I cannot find it in my heart to care that much from my own perspective. If you want to pop off and yell at Tempo Storm about it, go ahead. I'm not policing my comments, so you can be as angry as you want down there. You have to get real fucking personal for me to start deleting comments in my own YouTube videos. But yeah, I get it. I see why people be very, very upset about this. I don't have it in me to be upset about this. When I saw this initially, my concern, which is another concern people had, and this has been addressed, was if it costs $45 to get the game on Steam, I'm just not going to, right? Like, I hate the launcher. I don't want to use the launcher. I would gladly switch to the Steam client, but I will never spend, like, I don't know how much disposable income you need to have where $45 to not use the Tempo launcher is a sensible price tag for pre-existing players. So this creates a situation where a lot of players were just not going to play on Steam. And this has been addressed. We're going to cover how shortly. But a lot of people were really, really upset about not being able to play on Steam. I personally think that's a silly thing to be upset about. You don't need to play on Steam. You can just keep playing on the launcher. But there are two very real problems with veteran players not going over to Steam. The first is actually this. Steam has regional pricing, but I've heard this. I don't play from anywhere other than the US. I don't know this, but what I have heard is that there is not regional pricing in the Tempo launcher. If that's the case, then for people in countries where 20 American dollars is an outrageous price to pay who had gems to buy the hero, dude, I fucking sympathize. I'd be furious. Because essentially, you have to buy it on Steam to get regional pricing, at which point it's not solving the problem. I mean, maybe the math works out. I have no idea how it's going to translate. It's going to depend on country to country. But like, yeah, for people who cannot use gems and don't get regional pricing in the Tempo launcher, I would be super, super upset. And that has been, to some degree, fixed. Now, the second problem that I was thinking of when I saw this is, if no one's going to switch over for $45 because that's a ridiculous thing to spend money on, then we're not leaving reviews. But you know who would? Review bombers. People who really hate the Bazaar and Raid Ad specifically, kind of unreasonably. And if you don't know, there's a second Bazaar subreddit, because so many people got banned from the first one, called The Bazaar, that is essentially, or at least that looks like on the surface, a Bazaar refugee subreddit for people who got banned for nonsense reasons. But when your common denominator is being banned, that also includes a lot of people who got banned for really, really good reasons. The subreddit really needs a moderation team. There are a lot of threads there that go way too fucking far and are completely deranged. But there's also just like an immediate proof of my concept here. Like immediately on Friday, there was a thread in r/Bazaar where people being like, I cannot wait to buy the game, leave a bad review, and refund it immediately. The game is gonna get review bombed. A price tag be damned, it's happening. So creating a system where the people who actually like your game are not going to leave reviews was a really big problem. So both of these have been addressed to some degree. The game is still going premium. The payment model is largely still the same thing. However, as of Monday, they've updated the pricing scheme. The price tag has gone down $5 from the main game. The rest still costs the same. However, for the first 3 days, they have a sale going where you can get the base game and Stelle for $20, which essentially for people like me is just getting Stelle on Steam, but it comes with the Steam client. I would really recommend this be more than the first 3 days. That's just until Friday. There are probably a lot of people who aren't going to find out until like Saturday or Sunday who are just not going to play on Steam when they find out that it costs them $45 because they're a day late. I'd recommend running this for like at least 5 days, not just 3. But the point is, this allows people who are suffering from problems involving regional pricing to switch to Steam without being gouged for the additional client. And this allows everyone who's going to buy Stelle to switch to Steam. The reason they're not just handing out Steam keys to everyone who's already playing is apparently because of some relatively recent Steam changes where they can only get like 5,000 keys to hand out. So there was no way for them to do it either universally or fairly. It was just a problem, and this is currently their best band-aid for it. If you have problems with this, again, I'm tired, boss. I get it if you're outraged. I've been outraged too many times about this shit, and frankly, this one doesn't bother me. Because I never cared that the game was technically free to play, because I was never free to play. But if you were and you're furious, feel free to vent in my comments. I won't ban you. Now, with the shift to premium come a whole host of other changes. Scrolling down to ranked mode, tickets are gone. You can play ranked as much as you like. Any ranked tickets you have get converted to 100 gems, and ranked progress continues resetting each month, so there are still normal ranked rewards. Speaking of normals, normal mode changes. Now they give chests. No reason to lock them behind anything. It's not a free-to-play game anymore. They've also improved ghost matchmaking for new players to make it easier over time, get harder over time, start off easier for them, and normal should feel like a better place to learn the game. Great changes all around. And then future hero expansions. We're removing hero expansions from the prize pass. If you have a hero unlocked, you just get their shit now. It's not a free-to-play game anymore. And obviously, they will continue creating new items for each hero, and future items will arrive in the Bazaar at the same time for all players. Now, chest, store, and subscription changes. Everyone's always getting 246, no one's getting 123 anymore. They no longer sell or renew subscriptions, but anyone who has one running until the end of its lifetime will get double XP and up to 12 chests per run until that sub expires. And moving forward, gyms will not provide any gameplay advantages. As far as anyone can tell, I don't know if there's been official confirmation or something, but gyms are entirely for buying cosmetic stuff now. Now, these next two changes actually have a lot to do with canceling plans on the marketplace. So I'll mention that they have canceled plans in the marketplace now. The prize pass is completely free and will no longer offer tier skips. There are people who would immediately drop a ton of cash trying to be the first person to get the tier 60 or tier 100 cosmetic because it had that #1 edition on the card. In a similar vein, they're replacing the rotating seasonal chest with a chest that simply has the potential to provide almost all available cosmetics, including all previous board and albums from previous seasons. And again, this matters a lot to people who are collecting things because of the idea of a marketplace, because we all thought those things were limited. We thought that anyone who didn't get the open beta legendary duty skin never could get it and would have to buy it in the marketplace down the line. But this doesn't matter anymore because they're canceling plans in the marketplace, which is why these changes are able to happen in the first place. They're no longer going to develop the player-to-player marketplace, and they're removing the ability for accounts to have duplicate cosmetics. They'll be providing gems in place based on the tier. And at the time when they do this, I don't know if it's going to happen with Season 5's launch or down the line, all duplicate cosmetics you have will be converted to gems, value based on tier. And because of this, since you're only going to have one and you can't trade them, they're getting rid of mint numbers as well. Now, me personally, this has always just been like a weird thing in the game where it was like this echo of when there were plans to involve NFTs in some capacity, and it never really mattered to me in any capacity. I like the idea of trading skins. That was neat. But I didn't really care about it. So again, I'm tired, boss. If you're mad as hell about this, if you were one of those people jumping hundreds of dollars, I couldn't even be mad at you if you're like, I'm just gonna charge back everything I spent on the game. If you dropped like $100 every month to try to get the #1 edition and they removed editions, yeah, be fucking furious about it. That's totally fair. I'm not gonna be mad on someone else's behalf. This doesn't bother me. This isn't a problem for me. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that those people are wrong for being angry. They have every right to feel outraged and rug pulled because they fucking were. And of course, Stelle is coming soon. The actual best news of the patch by far. Stelle's coming out. There's new encounters, new enemies, over 100 new items, and the new flight mechanic, which comes alongside a ton of items interacting with flight, including the new hero expansions. And also the flight mechanic itself isn't just interactions with cards. It does give you a resistance to slow and freeze, which is pretty nice. But no, that's not the main thing here. We'll be covering that a lot more in the coming week when we actually get to play with Stelle. The main changes that we talk about today are canceling plans on the marketplace and the game going to premium. So how do I feel about this? Genuinely good, but conflicted. I think everything they've done has no negative impact on me as a consumer whatsoever. And I don't believe they'd be doing it if it wasn't for the long-term health of the game. I don't believe they'd be making changes to monetization, causing people to be this pissed off if they didn't need to for the viability of this as a product. If you're furious about it and you feel like I should be angrier, I get where you're coming from. I don't have a reason to be mad about these things. These things don't affect me personally negatively. I'm not a long-term backer of the game. I never gave a shit about mint numbers. But if you did, if you're from a country where the change to never buying gems makes this economically ridiculous as a concept for you to play the game and get new heroes, dude, I get that. All those people, you have a right to be angry, and I hope there is a YouTuber out there to scream bloody murder on your behalf, because it's not me. I don't have it in me to care. I'm out of outrage for this game. It's the most fun roguelike I've played. I want to be angrier about this, but mostly I'm just like, oh, it's different now. Man, there's gonna be a lot of people really pissed off about that. Originally, when this first came out, I was considering making a video on Friday. It was mostly to talk about this. If there's no reason for people to use the Steam client, they're not gonna spend $45 on the Steam client. But by bundling it with Stelle, then people will actually switch to Steam and leave positive reviews. Which, if the point of this is to make the game more successful, people are not about to start dropping $45 on roguelikes on Steam left and right when it's been review bombed into the ground. You need people who like the game to switch over to Steam, so addressing that was my main piece of feedback. And I figured that would be such an obvious piece of feedback. They would see the threads on the Bazaar talking about their plans to review bomb the game, and they would be like, oh shit, we need to get people onto Steam. We have to find an incentive. And they did. And that's really more of a, like, make sure the game succeeds economically, not a how dare you do this to the consumer thing. I genuinely feel like I should be angrier, but I just can't. The problems don't affect me. If you want to fight about it, you have all my support. I will never say your anger is invalid, but it just doesn't affect me, and I am tired of being upset about the Bazaar, man. That's where I'm at. I am overexposed to monetization controversies with this fucking game. And the things they're changing, like, I don't care that it doesn't have weird NFT remnants in the game anymore. I don't care that we can't trade these things. I was spending more money in the previous monetization system, but apparently in the minority by doing that. It just doesn't affect me. And I'm sorry if it affects you. It genuinely sucks for a lot of people. I hope someone out there has the energy to fight for you, but I'm not sure you're accomplishing anything because these changes indicate that, like, no matter how hard you fight, it seems like Tempo wasn't able to keep themselves afloat with the old monetization system, because I doubt they wanted to do these things that go back on initial promises about the game. They're not trying to rug pull you. They're trying to function as a business. So it's just a fucking shit situation for a lot of people. It's just a shitty situation for a lot of people, both on Tempo's side and the people affected by these problems. And honestly, I'm just exasperated and relieved that I'm not one of the people directly affected by this. I'm sorry if you are. If you have a genuine reason to be super upset, I'm going in fucking circles, man. I wish I could be outraged on your behalf, but I just don't have it in me. I still love the game. There's no game that does what the Bazaar does better for me. This doesn't hurt me. And honestly, in the long run, I'm pretty sure moving to Steam will be better for them. I will say, I don't get why they're going premium. They mentioned in the Discord that they had plans for when mobile comes out, having Vanessa be like the free demo character, right? You know, the way it currently works. I don't know why we're not still doing that. Like, instead of having it be a premium game with a $40 price tag, just have it be free with Vanessa and put $20 price tags on Pig and Dooley. What are we doing? I feel, I don't know. They've got people that they spent money paying to do financial analysis and tell them how to price this that know more than me. I'm sure it's Dunning-Kruger for me to think that I know better than this, but I just look at a $40 game on Steam in a world of free-to-play and super cheap roguelikes. I'm like, does that work? Somebody who knows more about it than me said it did, so I hope they're right, because I want the game to succeed. But the fact that it's not free-to-play starting with Vanessa and then just selling Pig and Dooley for the price that currently the game is sold for does leave me scratching my head. But again, I am sure they have talked to people whose job it is to know these things better than I do. So I hope it works. I genuinely want nothing but the best for the Bazaar. And to those people who are genuinely wronged by this, and are, maybe wronged is the wrong word, it feels overly dramatic. To the people who are suffering for these changes, whatever the right terminology should be, I do hope that it's changed to be in your favor, because again, that won't affect me. If somebody is out there yelling rah rah fight the power and really genuinely enthusiastic about this, I hope they can make a difference. I hope the games and the problems can be changed in a way that help them. But at the same time, I'm tired, boss. I just want to play a fun card game. I can't find it in me to give a shit when it doesn't affect me. And I look at this, I'm like, oh, that affects a lot of people. I'm glad I'm not one of them. And I wish I were a good enough person to be angry on your behalf, but I'm just not. That's a downer to end on, but if I say anything, it'll be going in circles, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for your time. I hope you continue enjoying the Bazaar in spite of this. I know I will, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.